Oh, there we go.
Are we recording? Are we live on Facebook?
I don't think we're live on
Okay,
Facebook.
we're just live on Facebook.
Yeah. Not live on Facebook.
Would you like me to call Nate? I'd like to call the September 19th, 2020 Webster City Council meeting to order. Can I do roll call?
Abby Hansen,
Here.
John Hawkins, Megan McFarland,
Here.
Matt McKinney, Logan Welch.
Here. Can I ask for a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we are having technical issues right now, so we're not live on Facebook, but we'll post the video tomorrow or as soon as we can upload it. Number one item on the agenda is petitions, communications, and requests. At this time of the meeting, this is the time of the meeting that a citizen may address the council on a matter not on the agenda. Except in case of emergency. The city council will not take any action on this meeting, but may ask the city staff to research the matter or have the matter placed on the agenda for a future meeting. Any public information? BD, could you give us an update on what's going on at the building just south of Morning Glory?
Sure. So we don't have an update from our last post, but we did have the insurance adjuster for the property owner come out and inspect the building today. They'll be going back to State Farm and doing an assessment with the upper management team before they determine what they're going to be doing for the property owner. So property owner is aware, and that's as far as it got today.
Awesome, great, thank you. I'll explain myself sitting up here too. Mayor John Hawkins is on a family vacation in Australia, so I'll be filling in his absence. Any other public information? Hearing none, I'll move on to item number 2, minutes, claims, reports, and licenses. The following items have been deemed to be non-controversial routine actions to be approved by the council in a single motion. If a council member or member of the audience wishes to have an item removed from this list, it will be considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Under item 2, I have A, minutes of September 6th, 2022. A resolution on payroll for the period ending September 10th, 2022 and paid September 16th, 2022. A resolution on bills, approve the fund list. Item D is recommend approval for issuance of beer and liquor licenses by the Iowa Department of Commerce for the following. A Class C liquor license and Sunday services for CNC American Tap. A Class C liquor license and outdoor service for American Legion Post 191. A Class C liquor license for outdoor service and Sunday service for Carpy's Biker Bar. And a Class C beer permit and Sunday service for La Perla Roca. Item E is city manager's report. Item F is a police department report. Item G is fire department report. Item H is planning and zoning commission minutes. Item I is the Hamilton County Solid Waste Agenda Packet. Item J is Heart of Iowa Regional Housing Trust Agenda Packet. Item K is a council meeting reports, and item I is other reports and recommendations. Can I have a motion to approve all?
Move to approve collectively.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item 3 is the general agenda. We started a little late, so I don't think we're having any issues on the time here. The first one is a 601 hearing to amend the fiscal year 23 budget. I'd like to open the hearing. Are there any written objections?
Received no written objections.
Are there any oral objections?
No oral objections presented.
I'll close the hearing. Dodie, you speak on this?
So typically, I just bring one amendment per year to council. This year, we had, with the supply issues, several projects were budgeted this year. We're not able to be completed until next year. I just thought that there was enough that I wanted to go ahead and do the amendment, the first amendment now. So I just want to roll over unspent money from fiscal year 22 to 23. And then it also will help the departments when they look at their budget reports. You know, in the past, if we say, yeah, you can spend it, it's not shown, you know, the expenditure is shown on their report, but the revenue isn't. So they're like upside down all year long. This way, it'll be much easier to read. So I didn't know if you have any questions on specific amendments.
I have none.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
I'll call for a motion to approve budget amendments for fiscal year July 1, 2022 to July 30th, 2023. Oh, sorry. June 30th, I apologize.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, same sign. The second public hearing is for 605. This public hearing is on a proposal to submit a community development block grant, CDBG application to the Iowa Economic Development Authority to request funding for the 2022 sanitary sewer rehabilitation project. I would like to open the hearing. Are there any written objections?
Received no written objections.
Are there any oral objections?
No oral objections presented.
I'll then close the hearing.
Oh, well, sorry.
Oh, I apologize.
Midas has got to do
I
a
apologize.
presentation.
I was going to close the hearing first and then last week, but we'll keep the hearing open.
Okay, thank you. My name is Stacy Lynch. I'm with Midas Council Governments. We've been contracted to write an application on behalf of the city for the sanitary sewer project. So how the need of the project was identified is the city had implemented a cleaning and televising program to regularly inspect their sanitary sewer system. And they noticed increasing problems over the year. And so they hired Snyder and Associates to investigate the problems further. And so because of that, the large amount of needs that need to happen, they've decided to apply for the community development block grant. And that application is due by 11:59 p.m. on October 1st. And the city will be requesting somewhere between 400 and 600,000 in grant funds. We're going to determine that amount tonight. And it's estimated that 52% of the city's population is considered low to moderate income. And so the estimated percentage of CDBG dollars that will benefit lower income households is 208,000 to 312,000. The proposed project will take place throughout the city of Webster City. And there's not anticipated to be any permanent displacement of people or businesses. And the proposed nature of the activities will be to line approximately 6,500 linear feet of sewer main and approximately 235 feet of spot repairs, service connections, and some manhole repairs. People authorized to receive and respond to citizen proposals, questions, and complaints concerning the projects will be Bertie Anna Bishop with the city or Linda Christensen at Midas. And then Midas is available to assist and provide technical assistance to groups representing low to moderate income people and presenting proposals for their request to use federal funds. So kind of going along with that, there's been some talk of how much the city would like to request in CDBG funds. There's kind of two different options to choose from. The first is to request the 600,000 in grant funds, which is how much the city would be eligible for. By doing that, the city would receive 3 out of 5 points in the one area that they're ranked on and leveraging funds outside of CDBG for the project. The other option would be to request less than the 600,000 to get to the 55% city match, which would give the city 5 out of 5 points for the project. We've had some discussions the last couple of days about this. And based on past experience, it's Midas's professional opinion to go ahead and request the 600,000 and see if you get that. Because it's really based on what other applications IEDA receives on if you would get funded or not. And since this isn't an emergency situation, if the city didn't receive the grant funds, they could reapply in January and we can discuss lowering the grant request at that point if you wanted to see if your application would score better. And so I guess for tonight, we just kind of wanted to see what direction the council wanted to go with. If you wanted to request the maximum funds and see if you'd get funded, or if you'd want to request a lower amount to get the maximum 5 points to help your application. I will say one other category that is scored on is the degree to which the cost per beneficiary is within a reasonable range. And you would get the maximum 5 out of 5 points on that category, even if you would apply for the 600,000. So it's really just the one section that you would be impacted on.
What's the difference between the 55% and the lesser amount, or is that the same thing?
Yeah, so right now with the amount that the city is agreeing to put in for local match, you'd be putting in 44.6% of the project cost, and that would get you 3 points. Whereas if you decrease it to somewhere around 400,000 in grant funds, we haven't figured out the exact amount yet because we're kind of waiting to see what you guys wanted to do. That would get you the 5 out of 5 points for the greater than 55% local match.
I just heard a lot of numbers. I'm
Sorry.
No, I'm just trying to visualize that. So you're saying we would request less from the grant,
Correct,
$200,000 less,
correct.
but a better chance of possibly getting it. But the overall cost is obviously the same, so we'd be contributing more.
Well, no, the overall cost would also decrease. You would decrease your project scope.
I see. So the scope would change, but the percentage will also be tweaked a little because of what we're actually asking for.
Correct.
So I see.
Mhm. Yeah, so kind of depending which route you want, that's when we kind of finalize the project scope based on if you wanted to go, because right now, I think we're not including the engineering cost because those have to be procured for, and we just don't have time before the application is due. And so we're removing those costs.
The engineering cost?
Oh, boy, we get this there now.
Okay.
Are we on Facebook? Was that his
Yep.
mark? Okay, well, it seems to have gone away, so I think you're right.
Okay.
If not, my voice will come back.
So I think removing the engineering costs from the application, your local match, you're looking at, it's like 483,500.
Sure, okay.
And so the size of the project scope kind of depends on if you want to ask for the 600,000 in grant funds, or if you wanted to ask for a lesser amount in grant funds, then we would also slightly reduce the scope of the project.
Dee, I wouldn't mind your input on this because on the recommendation on our memorandum, it basically recommends that we pursue the improvements, but doesn't necessarily pursue our direction. And you being working with them more directly and iron out some details prior to the meeting, can you kind of give your input?
Sure. So basically, if we were to pursue the 600,000, I think it wouldn't hurt the city because this is not an emergency situation. We were going to pursue this project anyways. So I think putting our best foot forward to try and get as much dollars back as we can would be the best situation, especially because it's federal dollars. If we can get 600,000, then it's worth more of the administrative task that we have to take on when managing the funds. And based on our conversation, it sounds like we're going to score pretty well on the remainder of the items.
Okay. Megan, have you any questions?
Are you just needing a consensus from council as to which direction to go?
Correct.
Will that work? Okay.
Yep.
Should go for the.
I do too.
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. And again, if we have strong scores elsewhere, why not try? And again, like you said, we'll try next year if for some reason we don't. Thank you,
Right, because they're accepted quarterly, so then the next one would be due January 1st. And then the last item to cover is what I just handed out tonight, but it was also included in your packet, the Community Development and Housing Needs Assessment. So in 2015, Webster City received CDBG funds for housing rehab program. And so these items listed on here were taken from the 2015 assessment that the city did. However, the rules have slightly changed a little bit and it's a little bit more in depth now. Before we could just have a list of items and say, this is what we're doing. Now we have to have a list of items and say why it's a priority and how it was determined, and then list the priority as low, medium, or high. So as you can see on the sheet here, there's a lot of items. And so you're free to, say we want to take off that item or combine a couple items into one. And then the next step is kind of to talk about why you feel they're important and then assign them a low, medium, or high priority. So just kind of for an example, so because I know this is kind of different from anything you probably had to do before. That first one there, the provide additional housing stock for low to moderate income families in the city. So that one needs to be a little bit more specific.
So you're asking us to give a priority tonight to
Yes.
each one of these items?
Yes.
Okay,
Well, unless you want to get rid of some of these items, because this is your list from 2015. It doesn't mean you have to have these same items for this time around. But for the first one, is it, provide single family homing? Is it, provide apartments, duplex, or what kind of housing stock were you wanting to provide for low to moderate income families in the city?
and this is general, so I mean, it could be any type of housing, like including existing homes.
Correct.
So
If you
like,
wanted to say, if you wanted to,
Do a newer or whatever, and maybe rehabilitation for the older property.
right. Mhm.
So are we gonna iron out each one of these one at a time? In this hearing?
Yep.
All right,
So if you guys wanted to just keep it simple and go through the list and pick one that you would identify as a priority in each category.
so like under one, we would pick one of the dashes
Yep.
as the main priority of that.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna read them aloud, just so the public can hear them too, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
And we'll kind of go through these. And again, if any of these are kind of too much and we want more discussion, I think we're gonna be able to iron out a couple, some are gonna rise to the top pretty quick, I think, when we talk, but if for some reason we can't come to a consensus on a couple like heavy hitters, is it okay to meet on this in the future, or does it has to be done tonight because of the timeline? Okay.
Correct. It has to be done before October 1st.
No worries.
Okay.
I got nothing on. No hurry, I'm just wondering.
And that's why I said this list is rather extensive, because in the past, you didn't have to go through as much detail. And so that's why I said, you don't feel like you have to keep all of these from the 2015 list. If there's some that you feel are kind of redundant, or maybe you can combine, that's an option too.
Okay, so for those in the audience and listening, we have the City of Webster City Community Development and Housing Needs Assessment. Item one is community development housing needs of low and moderate income, also known as LMI residents. One of them was provide additional housing stock for low to moderate income families in the city. The other is develop alternative housing resources for older adults currently residing in affordable owner occupied housing, or implement effective rehabilitation housing preservation programs. And if I read the top one right, provide additional housing stock. So basically like new development for low to moderate incomes to afford. That'd be new buildings, right?
You're getting there, but would it be like single family, or would it be multi-residential, or what kind of?
Sure. And then
Housing.
the second one, develop alternative housing resources for older adults currently residing in affordable owner occupied. So it'd be more of like, assisted living or maybe, that type of housing to move them out of possibly houses that they can be afforded by low to moderate income families, right? Okay. And then implement effective rehabilitation housing. We've done some of that through Midas, right? And other programs. That would be to like rehabilitate a home in maybe an aging neighborhood through city funds or forgivable loans or something like that, right?
Correct.
What do you think? Which one's most important?
I think the first one's most important.
That's kind of what I thought.
So, yeah, so we're actually, we'd be able to providing new housing. But that housing might be low to moderate income housing, kind of like some of the developments we've seen presented to us before. Is most important.
I do.
Yeah, I agree. I think, Webster City has the real estate resources and area to develop new properties, add stuff to our tax roll. And then hopefully the owners of the older dwellings would repair themselves. But I do feel we should still have rehabilitation programs, but I agree, number one is top priority. I think that's the consensus.
Are we doing this right?
Okay, I was gonna say something.
Yeah.
Well, I thought the same thing, so.
So yeah, so I was just taking a note kind of on how the priority was identified, and you talked about the, the real estate resources to do so.
I don't want to speak full council, but please, Megan and Abby, if implement effective rehabilitation is not number two, please speak up. Like it's okay. I do agree with you on the additional housing stock.
You're saying the third one is number two? That's what you think?
For instance, that programs like that possibly could have saved the building next morning.
Yeah.
Or some of the aging houses that the city has to obtain and then knock down and put up the tax rolls. So if we can somehow help the people out there maintain these properties that are aging, the 150-year mark. Help them be encouraged or even inspired to rehabilitate them, it would save the city possibly, legal time, money and demolition. So I do feel that is important, and that some of the programs we've implemented in the past have been underutilized, not because they're cool factor, but it's because maybe they've been taken advantage of properly. I also feel, that develop alternative housing, we have a lot of retirees, the baby boomer, brackets of age group are hitting that, retiree and beyond. And we are seeing a lot of that, but that's a great point. But I think new housing stock and keeping the buildings standing that we have today are like 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
So,
One down.
oh, just real, almost.
Oh, okay.
Going back to number 1, the provide additional housing stock. What kind of, are you looking at new housing stock or rehabilitated for like single family homes, multifamily homes, all of the above?
I might be speaking naively, but I don't know how much we can rehabilitate necessarily in low income housing right now. We don't own real estate, right? The city would have to acquire that and then rehabilitate it. A lot of the buildings that we have access to, we want to try to put a business in or something else. So I would probably lean towards new
Okay.
on that.
Are you talking single family homes?
Or apartments.
Apartments, yeah.
Mhm.
Now, oh, sorry.
No.
And then just going back to priority level. I know you said what was 1, 2, and 3, but you can have some of the same priorities, like you could have a couple that are high, medium, or low. So would you say 1 is high and then 2 and 3 are medium, or?
Yeah.
That seems, okay.
So this next one has a lot of options. So,
Stacy, just for sake of keeping this efficient, do you just want them to go through each item and say whether they identify that as a high, medium, or low priority?
Yes, that, but then we also need to state like how it was identified, like how is that identified as a need?
Sure.
Okay.
So those are kind of
And some of
2
this,
tasks.
just because we don't have our most recent housing study in front of us, I think we're familiar with it somewhat.
Mhm.
We also just familiar with what people tell us they need, what we see.
Right.
So some of this is going to be off the cuff, but if there is any detail needed to back up our priority level, can, you guys work with BD about pulling that from our housing studies in the past, or pulling that from maybe some other issues that weren't discussed tonight? Like, I don't want to leave one grossly underbacked by the need because we
Right.
just forgot to say something we think of later tonight.
Right. And well, the nice thing about this is that you guys aren't applying for a housing grant. You're applying for a water sewer.
Sure.
So I don't want to say it's not as critical, but I mean, it's not like you're applying for the housing grant.
Sure.
It's just something that has to be completed for all CDBG grants.
So
And
this
so,
isn't necessarily set in stone.
correct.
Okay.
Just check. Takes a little pressure off.
Correct. It's just for the purposes of this grant that you're applying for.
No, I mean, so far,
Perfect.
just in item 1, I've enjoyed the conversation thinking about housing needs and stuff. So this is a good exercise. Okay, so number 2 is labeled community development and housing needs of low to moderate income residents. The first item under there is provide additional housing stock for all families in the city. Provide safe, sanitary, and affordable housing for all families in the city. Third, create additional jobs for all citizens. Fourth, there is provide additional capital investments to stabilize and grow tax base. Next is create a community infrastructure to develop housing for targeted population groups. Next is expand the capacity for development and the available land supply. Next is create and implement a downtown development program. Next is establish Webster City as a community of choice for young households. Those are the items. So we want to just kind of go through and say which one's high, or a couple that are high, and then go back and put medium and low on the others. Because some of these are kind of general, right?
Mhm. I was thinking that.
I would also like to add, I don't see anything here about your water sewer infrastructure.
We
As
can
a-
add
as-
things you said.
Correct, as a community development item, just throwing that out there.
So is that viewed well in the grant
Well, I mean, if you're applying for the water sewer grant, you should have a community development need listed. It looks better.
And I'm sorry, when did you pull these? These are pulled?
2015.
2015, okay,
Yep. So they're 7 years old.
sure.
So if they said expand sewer capacity at wastewater treatment plant as a high priority.
Correct.
Okay.
So let's add
'Cause I-
that as a consensus. Okay. The other thing, so a couple of these I've noticed when I was reading them, I didn't really let them soak in, but they're kind of general. So the first one, provide additional housing stock for all families in the city. So, to me, some of that comes from fluency and I guess desire, right? So do we want to encourage high dollar housing bidders? Is there a market for that? Are we trying to, attract executives for surrounding towns? That's kind of a broad brush, right? But needed for growth. Provide safe, sanitary, and affordable housing for all families. Okay. That may play into like some of the inspection talks we've had, about, rental inspections and stuff like that, that's something we've talked about. Create additional jobs for all citizens. I think that's something that's always.
Yeah.
That screams just opportunity in general. Provide additional capital investment to stabilize and grow tax base. I think we do that anyway. I think that's something that's an underlying theme of our council. To encourage business growth and community growth. Create a community infrastructure, develop housing and targeted population groups. I mean, explain that. I read that.
Would that be like senior citizens and then,
That seems like what we talked about up here, though.
That's kind of what
Saying
I thought.
Oh.
Non-low to moderate income.
Expand the capacity for development and the available land supply.
Can we scratch that one off?
Yeah, I mean,
for the targeted population one?
Right.
yeah, because you're saying that's low priority and maybe.
Well,
it's
I'm
not.
saying like it's, if
Or can we combine
Oh,
it
you
with the
mean-
one above it?
Saying that
Or is it
it's-
since it's not in the
seems
same
like it's.
group, we
that's a-
can't combine it?
Like we address that. in
Well,
the first
1 and
three.
2 are kind of separate categories.
Okay, that's what I wondered.
Yeah.
So you're saying create a community infrastructure, knock that out. Which one are you talking?
For the target.
Yes, because I feel like we're covering that in the number section 1.
Right, because targeted population groups, that could be high or low,
It could be.
but it's in low, but yeah, and it could be senior citizens, retirees, or new growth, yeah. So we got a consensus, knock that one out.
Okay.
Create a community infrastructure, develop housing and target population groups, I'm good. Expand the capacity for development and available land supply. So, we just annexed a section of land last year. We have some opportunities in River Creek 6, 7, or wherever Ever run. But we'll run out eventually. I hope, that's the plan, but
So how low for now?
yeah, I've been low priority on the available land supply. Sound good? And,
Yes, sorry.
create and implement a downtown development program.
Medium.
Yeah, so downtown, was that maybe targeted to like grow downtown or preserve downtown or
Update.
or to attract people to downtown?
I think it means whatever you want it to mean. The current goal is to preserve.
All of the things.
You
Okay.
could be more specific on that.
I would say that's definitely at least a medium.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of one of those things, dominoes start to fall pretty quick down there. If there's not some attention given. Okay, again, is that a consensus? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Establish Webster City as a community of choice for young households. I'm gonna go off of the age demographic of the makeup of the council right now, and that has to be probably somewhat medium to high.
Yeah, that's exactly
And,
what I thought.
it's something I think we fight in this community is, well, people graduate from high school or college or given an opportunity, maybe they put in some time as an apprentice or something here. They want to take on new opportunities. It's hard to pull them back after they go taste those opportunities, and it's frustrating because our community is extremely safe and affordable compared to some of my friends and family that live in bigger communities. it's just hard to attract them back. So it's something that's gonna be constant. in our minds. I don't know if you're cool with that. I like to put it in a high.
I mean,
Remember? Did we ever give a rating to everything above the one we X'd out?
no.
I was just gonna say, I think I missed that.
So I'm gonna go backwards for fun. Provide additional capital investment to stabilize and grow tax base. Am I reading that as us putting in money and time to stabilize tax base?
Yep. So you can get more specific on that one, I think, because you're wanting more some of the sewer type. So currently what we're pursuing is to continue the implementation of our rehab program for our sanitary sewer system, so you can. I would recommend you be more specific and say like
Yeah.
implement the ineffective rehabilitation program for sanitary sewer collection system.
So yes, instead of being additional or just like stabilize the tax growth base, we're pointing at something that needs addressed that can translate into tax growth.
Yep.
I like it.
You wanna say that again, do you?
Implement an effective replacement and rehabilitation program for aging sanitary sewer systems.
And I think for political reasons, right, but that is high. But
Mhm.
it's what the grant started in. And it is, right? Otherwise, when we apply for this grant, there wasn't. Can I get a consensus on it?
Yes.
To create additional jobs for all citizens. As it reads right there, I'd say high.
Me too.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, if not, then it's good.
I think that's important, but I think given the climate of the world right now, jobs aren't hard to find.
No, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, should we invest resources and money into create these jobs? The market are great. We're living in an employee low market. So do we just encourage the market to come here and not necessarily create jobs? I like it.
I guess I like that
Yeah.
better, that
We
wordage
put it in
better,
medium
yeah.
because of-
Yeah.
It's a great point. Good job. The second one there is provide safe and sanitary and affordable housing for all families in the city. I don't want to see anyone taken advantage by a landlord. I don't want anyone to not afford to be able to, turn their water on because of broken pipes or something like that. So, is that necessarily the city's responsibility? Up for debate, but as a council member, I would strive for our community to have an abundance of that. So I would say that's either higher or medium.
Mediums.
Me too.
And the last one is provide additional housing stock for all families in the city. Kind of low one. Just because of the way it works, I just, to say all families in the city is kind of like spreading the peanut butter pretty thin, it's kind of, we're not really targeting anything. We're just saying we're growing housing stock and all age bracket, or all, sorry, income brackets. But
We need to be growing housing stock for
Can we have it say
for
continue?
moderate
Yeah.
incomes.
what's that?
We need to be growing housing stock for moderate incomes.
Yeah.
So that's like what is in the first bracket.
Well. Yeah, I would consider myself moderate.
I know.
So you're saying.
And it's
maybe
hard to buy a house in like my.
Like,
Well, because the
My
first one's,
bracket, my
the first bracket
price
says
bracket,
low to moderate income that we placed as high.
yeah,
So you're maybe saying more like the moderate, the higher moderate.
yeah.
I think, I think we all kind of live in that, I know what you're saying, we're kind of living in that middle class realm. Yeah, if we focus on the low to moderate income stuff, there is housing, now is it safe and is it nice or new? Probably not. And that's what we need more of. And the high end stuff, they can just build. So that middle class needs that, like that hardy 3 to 4 bedroom home that's affordable, maybe under the 2.25 price range.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a need for sure. So if we reword it as that,
So provide affordable housing stock for middle income families in the city.
Yes.
yep. I think that would be high.
Yes, me too.
Me too.
This is fun. This is funner than I thought it was gonna be. Like, really, we're getting.
Then you mentioned the expand capacity of the wastewater treatment, wasn't that one of them?
Yep,
Yeah.
That you
Yeah,
added? Okay.
that was added at the beginning as a
So
high.
that would be a high. I'm sorry, I missed the writing on that.
It's okay. The one thing I'm missing on that is kind of how that need came about to be identified.
The first one,
Or the expand the sewer capacity at the water treatment plant or water sewer capacity.
This has been an ongoing issue that spanned probably 8 to 10 years now, if not
Okay.
more. The growth of the output of some of our industrial users as well as the growth of the community is pushing our wastewater treatment plant limits, and we have no expansion or no room for expansion to attract other business. So, and not to mention aging facility.
I was just gonna say engaging.
You put all those together, it kind of makes a perfect storm for acting now. Okay, number 3, and this is the last one, the last bracket, planned or potential activities to address the needs identified in 1 and 2 above. Okay, so these will be things that back up our priorities in the first 2.
Correct.
Okay. Continue development of Brewer Creek Estates Edition. I think that's kind of on rails. I mean, we gotta wait for builders to come. Right? What's going on with that? Is that a term?
Where's it at?
Oh, I was like, what's, back in my term on rails, like it means it's kind of like okay, Brewer Creek Estates would be, I don't even know where I live. Like, you know where Fair Meadow goes all the way over the beach now?
Yes.
Okay, so you know those open lots there? That's those Brewer Creek Estates.
Oh,
lots,
right,
yeah.
right. I knew
So
that.
they've been like Brewer Creek like 2, 3, 4, now it's like 5 and 6. So those are the 2 that are still there, and there's 2 more to come, right? Are those 5 and 6? There's 6 and 7.
There's 5 and 6, there's still 7.
7, okay, yeah. So there's still some actual like just undeveloped, unknown infrastructure out there, but for future growth.
Got it. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd say medium. It's kind of on
Yes.
rails. Continue establish a community visioning process dealing with these and other issues. Where we had like groups communicate and talk about what they need.
On Zoom and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, you're right. Yeah. So I'd say low to medium, yeah, low. Of course, by the way, I mean, if, you know, whoever's listening, if community has input on any of these issues, bring it to us, talk to us. We tried, kind of forcing think tanks together with this plan, and we got some data out of it, but we always have an open door. Continue labor recruitment efforts outside the traditional market approaches. Again, I think we have to stay competitive. Communities around us to attract jobs, but again, to Megan's point, I mean, we need we need companies paying taxes on land more so than the jobs. So we need to attract people here to fill the job. So it's kind of chicken and egg, but I'd say medium to low at this point, but obviously it's something on all the minds.
Hello.
I'd say medium. I mean, some of the role of our city manager, assistant manager, and community vitality director, is to play in these markets, and we put abundant, resources into them to attract it. So it probably should be medium, I think, just because of what we already budget for that. Pursue cooperative approaches on various forms of housing assistance. Pursue cooperative approaches of various forms of housing assistance.
So you guys currently do that with like the Iowa Housing Trust Fund.
Mhm.
And the rehab loan programs that are in place already. So
Doing it, right? Or would you say low since we're doing
I
it?
would say we have some plans in place. So when I think something's on rails, or kind of already we have like a plan of attack. I don't think it's like on our radar to develop something for it. It's something that we've done and we're going to continue doing. So I'd say medium. Probably medium.
And maybe.
Continues proactive work between Webster City and the Chamber of Commerce for downtown revitalization. I think the Chamber is a great organization. It's, member funded, but how we can help and how we can add input and our resources, I think, is a good mix. So I would say medium to high on that.
I think we said medium on the downtown development. I think that's probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue 3-year tax abatement for new housing construction.
We just
You guys-
approved that in this last
Yeah.
year, so.
I would say Yeah, we're doing that. Medium. That work?
Yep.
Okay, continue downtown payment loan assistance program, or sorry, downtown. Got downtown on my mind. Continue down payment loan assistance program.
Yeah, I think that's high.
You like that?
Mhm.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's go high. Yeah. Continue owner occupied rehabilitation loan program. So that's through Midas too. Is that the Midas grant that?
I'm wondering if it was through the CDBG housing program,
Okay.
which this year they decided to cancel and they're
Okay.
going with like a neighborhood revitalization instead.
We should put low on that. Or maybe we just exit.
Can we?
Yeah, because I didn't know if you guys had any other kind of loan program that you did, so.
So we're gonna X out, continue owner occupied rehabilitation program, right? Okay, implement specific project types that capitalize on specific target markets and opportunities.
It's so vague.
Project types. Okay, so this is where I think we can get creative with our wording again, right? To pander to the grant. So this would be I guess an example of implementing specific project types that would benefit target markets, like expansion or revitalization of our infrastructure, right? So I would reword it to something like you reworded the other ones. You know what I'm saying? Like we're targeting something that just like
the wastewater, we're expanding the wastewater treatment plant. And implementing reserve capacity to potentially attract industries to the community.
say we had that and make it high. Okay, maximize use of vacant sites within established city.
Call that medium.
Yeah, I agree. I mean. Yeah,
Just get
that's-
up and-
yeah, it's just yeah, but I mean, is it a need? Yeah. So, yeah, medium, sound good, Abby?
Yeah.
Maintain and refine city's housing and neighborhood preservation program. So would this be something like the grants we may be seeing coming down the road from the CD? Yeah, I always mix that up.
The CDBG.
Tongue twister.
Yes, so that's one of the programs that would apply for. The neighborhood revitalization would fall under that. Or if there's any other programs that your city has in place.
Yeah, I would say high, because that would kind of show our importance of the rehabilitation. Last two, okay, complete a development-based downtown plan. So since this was made in 15, I think this paired in well. Well, we had like the University of Iowa come down and some other studies done. Now a plan per se, I don't know if it came with it. I don't know if we have a plan. We've identified some weak spots maybe, or some buildings or some ideas. But a plan, I don't know. So
Medium.
I'd go. Develop a community marketing program to promote the values of the city's community life. So this is all about attracting youth, I think. And we're changing our logo, our motto, our deal. I think kind of backs this. I would vote high on this. So would I.
We're almost done, I promise.
Anything missing on the third? Like, are you missing anything there you need?
Stacy, do you think it'd be appropriate to add the continue to camera and televise the sanitary sewer to identify areas that need improvement?
Yes, I think that would be a good one to add.
I agree. Those are some fun images in our packet.
Then high for that.
So on a couple of these, I didn't quite catch kind of how the need was identified. On some of them I did, but if we can go back through just on a
Yep.
couple of them. For the Brewer Creek Estates Edition. It sounds like that's something that's kind of been planned and in the works for a while.
Yeah, so. The need came from, I would say this falls into that moderate to higher moderate income level and lots to build or developers to come in and build. because we I guess plotted out, several size lots. Ranging small to large, and price and size. So this is kind of that land growth thing, like available land to build, it would be ideally here first in the city limits.
The proactive work between Webster City and the Chamber of Commerce for downtown revitalization.
So I don't think the need was for them to work together per se. I think the need is to just all hands on deck type thing and use all the resources we have. Whether that be an organization funded by the businesses down there already, or any resources the city can provide in that, so. The need would be just more so the downtown aging. The driver there. I think.
The down payment loan assistance program.
I think the need is just making things affordable. It's helping first time home buyers or just getting people inhabiting and owning properties.
It's like, for like. It promotes people to want to buy a house then.
Like a catalyst or a driver.
Yeah.
And then the maximize use of vacant sites within established city. Is that kind of geared more towards housing or businesses or combination?
I would say businesses. I don't think we have too many vacant houses.
The thing with the vacant lots per se, like the land,
Lots.
Yeah.
But I was thinking.
So like. Sometimes a house is coming down that was built 110 years ago, where the lot sizes are smaller. So now setbacks and building styles can't even fit in that without some type of tailored, smaller infill lot type of housing. So if we can encourage people to build those, great. If we can get creative and make green spaces or possibly some development downtown with it, as buildings come down, we use that green space for possibly new development. So that's really what drives it. Again, it's just we have real estate to use, just getting creative how to use it.
And then that next one too, kind of long, I'm assuming the same longs as earlier, the maintain and refine cities housing and neighborhood preservation program. Is that kind of tied with the, making things more affordable, pride of ownership?
Mhm.
And I see that as, we took out that one about the rehab programs that are going away.
Mhm.
Well, that would probably, if it's a more neighborhood based or a new program coming, that would replace that. And I
Okay.
want it to still be encouraged and marketed and expanded upon, or at least, relayed to the community how to use it.
And then the last, the complete a development-based downtown plan.
Sure. I just don't know if we truly have them. We're kind of triage sometimes. We're just like, okay, well, like right now, a building's falling down next to a business. All hands on deck for that one building, right? Did we have a plan for that lot next to it? Did we assume that the wall may fall someday because it was an exposed wall that probably wouldn't be exposed? Yeah. So maybe we start getting ahead of these, do some, preventative measures to avoid situations like this.
All right, well, thank you for your marathon session there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's got me thinking, us talking about some stuff. So now is it okay to close the hearing?
Yeah.
I'll now close the hearing. BD, any more comments on this?
Yeah, so the only update here is we're gonna have to modify the resolution to read more generically, since we don't know what the exact numbers fall in right now. But we're just requesting authorization to commit that local cash match from the sewer fund in an amount not to exceed the budgeted dollars. So we're just gonna make sure we don't go past that 650,000 on this project.
Okay.
And currently it read 55% or 600,000. So
Oh, right, I do remember.
since we are gonna pursue the full 600,000 and not do the 55% match, we're just gonna keep the language generic.
Okay. So when I call for the resolution, I'm gonna read this comment and that will explain that change in the resolution based on what was in the agenda packet. Okay,
It's gonna change it to what's in red here.
okay, sounds good. So at this point, I'll call for a resolution authorizing Midas Council of Governments to submit a community development block grant, CDBG, application to the Iowa Economic Development Authority to request funding for the 2022 sanitary sewer rehabilitation project on behalf of the city of Webster City and committing local funds as a project match to include, and this is the change we just spoke of, the change to section 2 of the resolution as follows. Authorizes commitment of local cash match from the sewer fund not to exceed budgeted funds approved in the fiscal year 2022 and 2023 budget. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Very good. I know we're on C, but everything's done with the Midas, right? Or now we're on the resolution for the cost of the construction for the rehabilitation project, right? Still tied to it. Okay. Item C is a resolution providing for notice of hearing on proposed plans and specification and proposed form of contract and estimate of cost for construction of the Lincoln Drive reconstruction project.
This is a different project. It
I
has
got
nothing to do with that.
Confused. But I got you.
So the item before you guys is just a request to set the public hearing for the Lincoln Drive project. Back in February 21 of 22, you guys approved the amendment with the Snyder and Associates to complete the design and project development for this project. And this was built into the fiscal year 22-23 CIP. If you guys do approve this tonight and set the public hearing, the notice to bidders will go out tomorrow. One thing to note is that the current bidding market that we're in, the engineers did update the estimate, so that put us about $77,000 over budget. If prices do come in close to the engineer's estimate, then at that time, council will have the ability to also amend the budget if they so choose.
Very good. We're just setting the public hearing at this point. So I'll call for a motion to set the public hearing for October 17th, 22 at 6:05 PM.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Very good. Item D is a resolution accepting and executing easements from those listed herein in connection with the 2022 electrical underground conversion project.
So this is the underground electrical project that has been on the CAP for a couple years now. Last time we bid this project out, we didn't get good bids on the materials, so this is currently out for bid. But these are just the easements that we're going to need to go ahead and pursue the installation. We do have 31 total easements. There was one easement that did need some adjustments, so that one will come back to council at a later time. But right now we are asking that council approve 30 easements as part of this request.
I got a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Item E is a resolution providing for notice of hearing on proposed plans and specification and proposed form of contract and estimate of cost for the furnishing of an electrical power transformer for a Resner substation.
This item's also come before council. This came before you on August 15th. You guys approved the amendment with DGR to do the preliminary engineering and put the bid package together for Reisner substation. Because of the current timeline with supply chain and delivery of materials, we requested to basically start backwards and try to order this power transformer. The engineers estimate that this is going to cost about $1.2 million. The electric fund would cover that cost and we don't have to pay it until 30 days after delivery. We're anticipating this is going to arrive late 2024 or early 2025. So it'll be built into the budget. But if you guys approve this tonight, we will be putting this out for bid tomorrow. And then the hearing would be November 7th.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Item F is a resolution accepting and approving the minor subdivision plat for Forest Store Edition, Hamilton County, Iowa. Ariel?
Good evening, council members, and thank you for your time. I know you guys have had a long meeting. Before you is a request from Kurt Aaron's for a minor subdivision, the Forester Edition at 1630 240th Street in Webster City. Historically, council has decisioned all minor subdivision plats via a resolution. This is necessary before the plat can be recorded at the courthouse, and then the city recognizes it as a bona fide subdivision. The property located at 240th Street is within the city 2-mile jurisdiction and is zoned agricultural, which is appropriate for the current zoning. Anderson Seed Kurt Aaron's is the property owner and wishes to subdivide his property that hosts a grain bin. That plat has been reviewed by staff and utility companies. The city attorney has reviewed all documents and it's gone to Planning and Zoning Commission, and Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation is to approve the subdivision.
Any questions? Seeking a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Very good. Item G, first reading of an ordinance amending the code of ordinances of the city of Webster City, Iowa by amending chapter 10, section 10 through 20, or sorry, 1020 through 1030 pertaining to building codes.
I'm just gonna stay here. Before you is the first read for the request to amend the building code. The city is currently under the 2015 building code. And we are now going to adopt the 2021 edition of the International Building Code and the 2020 Electric Code. The city council last adopted the International Business Building Code in 2015 edition in May of 2017. It's necessary to amend section 10-20 through 10-30 of the city municipal code, which is the building and construction chapter. Changes will include updating all 2015 codes to the 2021 editions and updating the 2014 National Electric Code to the 2020 edition mandated by the state. The inspection department has already purchased all of the books under last year's budget, and the staff's recommendation is to approve the first reading of the ordinance.
Any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Item H is a resolution to approve the commitment of matching funds for an application for funding to the Iowa Finance Authority in support of the Heart of Iowa Regional Housing Trust Fund. Erin?
Okay, before you is the request to approve the commitment of matching funds for an application for funding to the Iowa Finance Authority in support of the Heart of Iowa Regional Housing Trust Fund. The city has been part of this trust since it was established in 2018. And the program continues to help low and moderate income families, homeowners with needed home repairs in Hamilton and Webster counties. On September 20th, 2021, the city council approved to provide matching funds in the amount of $7,000 for the 2022 and 2023 fiscal year. The trust has proved to be a valuable program for residents in Hamilton and Webster counties and has worked with 51 low to moderate income homeowners to correct various repairs such as roofs, water heaters, plumbing, electrical, energy efficiency, and accessibility for handicap accessibility. As of July 2022, the trust has completed 14 projects in Webster City totaling $164,744.98. 2 other projects are in process totaling an additional $21,331.25. And 3 other projects are approved and just waiting contractor bids. Recently, the trust has approved the request of Humboldt, Wright, Pocahontas, and Calhoun counties to join the housing trust. And because of these additions, these counties, the trust is eligible for $411,939, which requires an $86,507 match that is allocated by each county, by each county. Hamilton County has committed up to $7,401, and the city will need to also contribute up to $7,401 to fulfill the match. The match does come from the LMI funds, which is created from the residential TIF that's set aside. And city's recommendation is to approve a resolution authorizing the up to $7,401 for the 23-24 fiscal year.
Oh, very good. I mean, this is kind of backs up some of our conversations earlier.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Very good. Item 4 is adjournment. I have a motion to adjourn.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for coming.